Right now, as you listen to these words, something extraordinary is happening. You're breathing without thinking about it. Your heart is beating without your permission. Your awareness is dancing through thoughts you never consciously chose. And yet, you probably believe you're in control of your life. How curious. What if I told you that the very struggle you wake up with each morning, that nagging sense that you need to become someone better, smarter, more spiritual, more successful, what if that entire project is built on the most beautiful lie ever told? You see, my friend, we live in a civilization that has taught us the most peculiar thing, that we are somehow separate from the world we inhabit, that we came into this universe like strangers checking into a hotel, carrying our little suitcases of identity, desperately trying to prove we belong here. But this is not how it works at all. Listen carefully now, because what I'm about to say might crack something open inside you that's been waiting to break free for years. You didn't come into this world, you came out of it, just as naturally as an apple tree apples the universe, peoples. And you, dear listener, you are one of those people. You're not some cosmic accident that needs to justify its existence. You are existence, experiencing itself subjectively. Think about this for a moment. When you were born, did anyone hand you an instruction manual? Did the universe whisper in your ear, "Now remember, you need to earn your place here"? Of course not. You simply were. And that was enough. That was the miracle. But somewhere along the way, perhaps around age 3 or 4, when language really took hold of your mind, you began to believe the strangest thing. You began to believe that there was you in here and world out there. You started to feel like a separate self, trapped inside this bag of skin, looking out at a foreign landscape that you had to somehow conquer or at least survive. And that, my friends, is when the suffering began. Look around you. Look at the endless parade of self-help books, meditation apps, productivity hacks, spiritual techniques. Everyone is trying to become someone. Everyone is chasing some future version of themselves that will finally have it all figured out. The enlightened one, the successful one, the healed one, the one who no longer feels anxious or sad or confused. But here's what's absolutely fascinating. The very one who's trying to improve doesn't actually exist. Stay with me here. This isn't philosophical mumbo-jumbo. This is pointing to something you can discover right now, in this very moment. Close your eyes, or don't, it doesn't matter, and ask yourself, who is the one listening to these words? Can you find this listener? Can you locate the you that's having this experience? Look for it. Seriously look. What did you find? Thoughts? Sensations? A sense of awareness? But who is aware of the awareness? The more you look for the one who's looking, the more it vanishes like mist. This is the cosmic joke. The self that's trying so desperately to improve itself is like a shadow trying to catch its own tail. It's activity without an actor. It's a verb pretending to be a noun. And yet, our entire culture is built on the premise of becoming. From the moment you could walk, you were taught to become. Become good, become successful. Become spiritual, become authentic, become yourself. As if yourself were some destination you could arrive at, like a train station in a foreign country. But tell me, have you ever seen a wave trying to become more wave-like? Have you ever witnessed a cloud straining to be cloudier? Of course not. They simply are what they are, unfolding naturally according to their nature. You, too, are unfolding. Right now, this moment, your lungs expanding, your thoughts arising and dissolving, your heart beating its ancient rhythm. This is not preparation for life. This is life. This is not practice. This is the real thing. But we've been hypnotized into believing that life is elsewhere, that it's in the future when we finally get our act together, when we finally become the person we're supposed to be. And so we miss it. We miss the only moment when life is actually happening, now. How tragic. How utterly, beautifully tragic. Let me tell you about the wound that every human being carries. It's not the wound of trauma, though that's real too. It's not the wound of loss or heartbreak, though those cut deep. No, this is the original wound, the wound of separation. Somewhere in early childhood, you developed what psychologists call self-consciousness. You began to observe yourself from the outside, to see yourself as others see you. And in that moment of reflexive awareness, you split yourself in two: the observer and the observed, the judge and the judged, the improver and the one needing improvement. This is when you first began to feel that something was wrong with you. Not because anything actually was wrong, but because you were now experiencing yourself from a distance, like watching your own life on television. And naturally, when you're watching yourself perform, you start to critique the performance. I should be happier. I should be more confident. I should be less anxious. I should be more spiritual. I should. But who is this I that should be different? And who is setting these standards? When you really examine it, you'll find it's all borrowed. The voice in your head that says you're not enough, that's not your voice. It's a collection of every authority figure, every peer group, every cultural message you've ever absorbed. You've been living your life according to a script written by ghosts. Here's something that might shock you. What we call normal in our culture is actually a form of collective madness. We've created a society of people who believe they are separate selves, trapped in bodies, struggling against a hostile universe, trying to prove their worth through achievement and accumulation. But this isn't reality. This is a trance state. This is what happens when human beings become completely identified with their thinking, when they mistake the map for the territory, when they confuse their conceptual understanding of life with life itself. Look at how we live. We spend our days planning for futures that never arrive the way we imagine, or reliving pasts that exist only in memory. We worry about threats that are mostly imaginary. We compare ourselves to others based on incomplete information. We accumulate possessions to fill a void that can't be filled with things. And we call this normal. But what if I told you that your depression, your anxiety, your sense of meaninglessness, what if these aren't personal failings, but intelligent responses to an unintelligent way of living? What if these are your soul's way of saying, this isn't it? This isn't how life is meant to be experienced. So if trying to improve yourself is a trap, if becoming someone is an illusion, if the self that needs fixing doesn't exist in the first place, then what? Then you stop. You simply stop. Not stop in the sense of becoming passive or apathetic. Stop in the sense of ceasing to struggle with what's already here. Stop trying to be different. Stop trying to be better. Stop trying to be anything at all. And in that stopping, something miraculous happens. Life begins to live itself through you without interference. Like a river that suddenly remembers it doesn't need to push the water flows by itself. This is what the ancient Chinese called Wu Wei, effortless action. Not the effort of trying, but the ease of allowing. Not the strain of becoming, but the grace of being. When you stop trying to control the river, you discover you are the river. When you stop trying to improve the wave, you realize you are the ocean. When you stop trying to perfect the cloud, you remember you are the sky itself. But how does one live this way? How do you navigate a world that demands constant improvement, constant becoming, constant effort? The secret is this: you play the game without believing in it completely. You fulfill your roles, parent, worker, citizen, but you don't confuse these roles with who you actually are. You wear your personality like clothing, useful but not ultimate. It's like being an actor who's so skilled that they can fully embody a character while never forgetting they're just acting. The performance is real, the emotions are genuine, but underneath there's this spacious awareness that knows it's all a kind of cosmic theater. When you live this way, something beautiful happens. The neurotic edge of life begins to soften. The constant anxiety about whether you're doing it right, whether you're enough, whether you're on the right path, all of that begins to dissolve. Not because you've figured everything out, but because you've stopped needing to figure everything out. And here's the most beautiful paradox of all. When you stop trying to be extraordinary, you discover that ordinary life is already extraordinary beyond measure. The taste of water when you're thirsty, the feeling of breath filling your lungs, the way light plays across a wall, the sound of rain on a roof, the sensation of being alive, here, now, for no particular reason other than the sheer improbable fact of existence itself. These aren't consolation prizes for failing to achieve something greater. These are the greatest achievements. This is the spiritual life. This is enlightenment. Not some cosmic fireworks display, but the recognition that what you've been seeking has been here all along, hiding in plain sight. So let me leave you with this. Right now, as you listen to these words, you are witnessing the universe becoming conscious of itself through your particular nervous system. The same intelligence that spins galaxies and grows forests is looking out through your eyes, thinking through your mind, feeling through your heart. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, experiencing itself subjectively. You're not observing nature from the outside, you're nature. Nature naturing, as spontaneous and unforced as any flower that blooms or any star that shines. There is nothing wrong with you. There never was. There's nothing to fix, nothing to improve, nothing to become. You are already what you've been seeking. You've always been home. The only question is, will you remember? Will you wake up from the beautiful dream of separation and recognize the magnificent ordinariness of who you actually are? Because once you do, once you really see it, everything changes. Not because you become someone different, but because you realize you were never who you thought you were in the first place. You are the awareness in which all experiences arise and pass away. You are the stillness in which all movement dances. You are the silence in which all sounds vibrate. You are that. You have always been that. You could never be anything but that. And that is quite enough.